we try to do everything under the sun, and we really burn ourselves out.
365 days to get ready for next year to be closed. We've got 2 other clients in the salon, plus I forgot to do the stock order, and Jemima is going to be sick today. It's been so nice to see you guys, but I'm off for a nap.
But the real measure of 2025 will come down to these 2 weeks and how well you refuel.
Welcome to the Salon Owners Collective podcast. Pleased to have you here. And Joel, thanks for coming back.
Hey, great to be here, Russ.
We haven't scared you off just yet. So today I want to really have a conversation with you, Joel, about the silly season. Like, we're entering into what I used to call the Christmas Cray-Cray. And not only did I have a sleep on the couch every Christmas day after lunch, like I would drive all the way up to my mum's, would have this lovely lunch, and then afterwards I'll be like, it's been so nice to see you guys, but I'm off for a nap. And I'm going to have a little lie on the couch, put my feet up, and I'd have, hopefully I didn't snore, I'd have a sleep, because Christmas
You definitely
and
scored, let's be honest.
Christmas in the salon is hectic. It's a hectic time of year. We work crazy hours. We don't take a break. We don't go to the loo. We squeeze in clients. And every year I would dread Christmas, and I'd be like, this is my last year on the floor. I don't want to do clients anymore. I hate it. I would love and hate it, because I love the vibe and I love the energy and I love my clients, but it is hectic. And I would have this nap on the couch. And then I would arrive into January, and by the time I really got my act together and got back into gear, it was March before I really had a plan for the year. And this is something we need to solve. If we want to grow $1 million business, we need to solve that problem. And we're now helping owners solve that problem. So I thought we need to share this conversation, Joel, because we shouldn't have to live in a hectic life cycle like this anymore.
Yeah. And one thing you said there, Russ, I don't think there's anything wrong with a sneaky wee nap on Christmas Day. I feel like, everyone deserves that a little bit. And I also feel like sometimes that nap or that sleep is like you're just completely exhausted after not only a huge December, or for some salons, October, November, December, but probably a huge year as well. And one thing I know for sure is that for many owners out there, they've been doing December for a few years, They've done a few Decembers, and they tend to often go a similar way. And there's often this external demand, if you like, from history. Like, this is how we did it last year. This is what clients wanted last year. This is what we need to get sorted from last year or years gone by. And so there's a really high expectation that is driving a lot of that eventual exhaustion as well. So it's game on in December, isn't it?
It totally is game on. And like I said, it's this tug and pull of it's really exciting. The energy is high. The atmosphere is great. Clients are happy. They're a little bit stressed, so it means we're a little bit stressed. We tend to squeeze people. And I would really love to kind of talk through, Joel, the 4-2-4 model, because we want to make the most of the pre-Christmas rush. Like, it really is a significant piece of the annual income, and we want to make it great. But how do we not make it so it's dreading? Like, we're not dreading it, because toward the end, once I got on top of this, I loved Christmas, and I could really enjoy it. But we need to be a little bit intentional about that. So I want to talk about that. And I know you've got some thoughts on, like, how do we do December, January really well, so we actually kick off 2025 or every year feeling really good and positive and ahead of the ball, not as March by the time we sort ourselves out.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I feel like that December, January transition can often feel like, for many owners, like you're in the back seat of a car without a seatbelt on, maybe. Not that should ever happen. And the driver's turning the corners with a bit of pace, and they go right, and then you have this whiplash left effect. And then they go left, and you have this whiplash right effect. It's like the car in this metaphor is kind of like the December that always is really busy. The busy clients, the huge demands, the need to hit previous targets and all of that. And what can happen to the owner and also the team is that you become quite reactive or at the effect of the season and the demands and the needs of everyone and everything else. But hey, we've been here before, we'll get through it. And so, back to your question, the 424 is really about entering December using a framework. And what we know about frameworks is they're useful, they help us to mentally break down and distill certain aspects of what I would call that transition out of one year and into another. Because on its own, the transition of a year has there's a lot of demand on us energetically. Like a lot of us go, 2023 was about that, and 2021 was about that. And as you leave 2024, there's a demand on your energy, but then there's also a demand on your energy as you arrive into 2025. So the 424 allows us to approach that natural external pressure that everyone puts on us with a whole lot of intention about how we want to do the first 4 weeks of December, the 2 weeks from Christmas Day onwards, and then the first 4 weeks in January.
Great. Well, let's talk about that. Should we start with December? Because I feel like that's the first chunk.
It is, yeah. We should definitely break it down into those three chunks there. So December obviously is a super, as we've talked about, busy time, and it's really game on with lots of external demands. And I think one of the traps or challenges that we can often fall into is we try to do everything. We try to do everything under the sun, and we really burn ourselves out. And you might be able to speak to this with a little bit more detail about what specifically, Larissa, but I really think December is about doing a few things as the leader, as the owner, really bloody well.
Agree. And permission to just actually park everything else. I think it's when we try to bring everything else that we've been working on through the year, or I need to wrap up everything before the holiday, and we bring that into the crazy appointment book, that we overload ourselves. And so if we can stop everything else and from now take away the pressure of what about all the things I didn't achieve this year that I had planned to, and just give yourself permission to be focused. And in terms of focus, like number one, this is your biggest sales opportunity. This is your opportunity to sell gift vouchers and do sales well. But what can happen is that because of the over busyness or oversubscribed or juggling too many balls, that we can actually serve our clients less well, for lack of a better word. Like we're actually not fully present because actually we've got 2 other clients in the salon, plus I forgot to do the stock order, and Jemima is gonna be sick today, and I'm juggling. And so what happens is the salon becomes busier, but their service actually, the quality goes down. And as a result, even though sales are up in total, the per client experience actually is down. The per client upgrade or home care or gift vouchers, unless we're intentional, all those things go down. And so while total money is up because volume is up, actually average client spend and quality is down. And that's the biggest trap that we can fall into, and we don't even notice because we're so busy. And so if we can park everything else and we can be a little bit intentional about serving, which equals the scoreboard of good quality service, is that the sales go up, not just total sales, but average client spend, because she got your full attention during the consultation. She got the things that she wanted and she needed, because you were focused with her, because you could park all the other distractions. And I think if that becomes the sole focus for December, then you can share that with your team and just serve your team to help serve your clients. Then there's a lot of other pressure comes off, and we can be singular in our focus.
Yeah, I think often we require our staff to be both exceptional at service, which is absolutely, and then also to have headspace for how their behavior affects the rest of the salon. And I think in December, staff get squeezed and it's really tight and really full and all of the things. And so more than any other month, maybe your staff are right there in the weeds of delivering exceptional service. So what does that say about how we as the leader should be showing up? And as you said, Larissa, being able to support our staff, and give them that guidance, that encouragement, which is so, so powerful in a high pressure time, so that they can continue to just be on the coal face and deliver extraordinary service. I think it's really important to be able to, yeah, sort of almost step back from the weeds yourself a little bit.
Yes, agree. And really supporting your team to not overcommit. And so what I mean by that is not over committing in many things. Like sometimes we have to say no to extra social stuff. Like there's extra Christmas parties and my husband's Christmas party, and then the girls want to go out and everyone needs to see each other suddenly before Christmas. And we're doing extra late nights and all of those things. And actually it's okay to say, no, I'm being extroverted and outputting all day long. Because when you're serving clients, you are giving all day long. And then just take that moment to chill at home, go to bed early, watch some Netflix so you recharge, so you can be back on again tomorrow. So saying no, but also saying no and not necessarily saying no, just blanket no, but actually keeping some boundaries around clients who aren't as organized, last minute clients who they haven't sorted themselves out and are putting pressure on you to squeeze them in. They're running extremely late because of their own external Christmas noise. And if we're not careful, we let their external pressure and stress come into our world and then upset our world, which then means that the other clients who are in our world for that couple of hours, we put that pressure upon them because we run late and we're juggling and not giving them full attention. And we just create this noise. So I think boundaries, like if our clients are late or if our clients want extra things and they haven't pre-booked or asking for squeezies, like some personal boundaries is help your team have some personal boundaries and that's okay. Because my experience, and I learned this, I guess relearned this from a different perspective over Christmas actually, Joel. No, over Christmas, over COVID, is when we were not allowed to have many clients in the salon and we were only allowed to have so many and they had to be far apart from each other. This really amazing thing happened is that we had less clients coming through the doors, but their average client spent doubled. Do you know why? It's waiting for you to tell us, Joel. Well, we gave them complete and utter undivided attention. We gave them what they wanted, what they needed, and we gave them the things that they didn't even know that they always wanted
Yeah.
because we had time.
Yeah.
So I think if we can remove the noise of overcommitting in our appointment book, we can actually uh, make the most of those Christmas sales because we feel like there's this pressure to make record Christmas sales. But I think it's got to come from quality, not volume.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And it's funny because I earmarked in my brain twice you talked about attention, undivided attention, presence, focus. I'm thinking like these are great focus points in those daily huddles as you, even now, like just the benefit of that. Because as the stylist or the therapist, you actually get to be singularly focused, which is a beautiful experience as someone in service. But also, as you've just talked about with the experience with COVID, it's actually win-win because the client gets it, and then it's win for the business because the business has a bigger pool of resources at the end of December when the owner checks the bank account.
Exactly. All right. So if we've had like record sales in December, which is always the goal, um, talk to us about between Christmas and New Year, Joel.
Yeah, so this is a very critical time and like December has historically been a particular way, and we need to become conscious of how we want it to go instead of how it's always gone. The same is true from Christmas Day onwards. I like to use that window of 2 weeks. Now, you might be off for longer than 2 weeks away from the salon. You might be off for shorter than 2 weeks. But over that 2-week period, one thing has to happen. It absolutely has to happen. And that is that you need to refuel. You have to refuel. So if you think about a car, that drives around all year on a tank of gas, and in this story, it can last a whole year. And you get to the end, and like you've just really smashed in December, like high five, celebration, champagne, however you do it, you deserve it. Awesome.
Hey, it's me again. I just wanted to interrupt and jump in here quickly to say thanks for listening to the podcast. I really appreciate you being here. Just one question though. If you are listening to this episode and thinking, oh my God, this is me, but I'm just not sure what to do, well, don't worry. I got some strategies for you. The Salon Mastery Program will help you develop and implement a 100K team, 100K mindset, strategies and steps designed to help you lead your team to enjoy 100K careers and install the 100K mindset and motivation so you can help build that inside of your team. The systems, the processes to master the 100K day so you can build the $1 Million Salon. So I want to invite you to join me for a complimentary $1 Million strategy call. We'll discuss your business, your role in the business. Let's see if I'm the right person to help you grow your business and your team. Together, we can reach the $1 Million mark. All you need to do is click the Apply Now button in the show notes of this very episode. You're welcome to book a time, a strategy call. We'll have a chat. All right, that's enough for me. Let's get back to the episode.
Now is the time to actually refuel, to fill the tank back up. Because guess what happens in January? Your doors open again and we go again. Like business doesn't sleep. Well, it does for maybe close for a week or two. And so it becomes really important that we actually refuel. And the reason why I'm kind of emphasizing this point so much, Larissa, is because I know both through experience myself, but also with clients that we've served, is that it's really easy to not do that by mistake. Let me explain what I mean. Let's just say you've had a busy day at work and you get to the end of the day and you come home. Often, one of the traps that we fall into is we might sit down on the couch and start scrolling on our phones. Now, we're not working. We think that we're relaxing, but how many of us have got up from a TikTok scrolling session and actually your neck's quite sore or your anxiety's gone up a little bit and actually don't feel that relaxed? And so we've got to remember that what we do for those 2 weeks has to add to us showing back up in January to start and kick off an incredible year ahead. And so you want to get really intentional about what you do from Christmas Day through until the end of that first week in January.
Yeah, I love that. And being intentional and clear about the off is great. So we're kind of alluding here, Joel, to giving permission to close. Like for some people, that's going to be like, what? You want me to close my business for 2 weeks? And I say yes. And you have 365 days to get ready for next year to be closed. And if you think about the revenue that you might make between Christmas and New Year, how can you, over the next 365 days, be prepared in advance to cover that? So typically, if you're open in between, revenue might be down somewhat. But if you divided that over 363, no, 50 weeks, 50 weeks. I'm going to go to weeks now. If I divide that over 50 weeks, how much more do you need to do a week and to put off on a separate bank account so you can cover the costs of those 2 weeks and not have to be open? It's probably not that much.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so important. And I think for many of us, we could have maybe have developed an identity where it feels like you can never be off and you always have to be on. And if it's it's always got to be you. Like there's no one else to deal with it or do it. And one thing for sure is that what we'll be walking and talking through with our owners at the end of November when we deliver the 424 is the specific behaviors that you can take and the specific behaviors that you should boundary up around, like don't do these things, so that the net result of those 2 weeks is deep refueling. Like all of us listening to this are high performers. All of us can turn it on in December. But the real measure of 2025 will come down to these 2 weeks and how well you refuel.
Yeah, I love that. and easier said than done if you're in the habit of being on all of the time. And I have this other challenge, and I love the challenge, is that after I've had a few days break, my brain goes into white space mode and it starts solving problems like all by itself. And it's really exciting. And I am um, refining the art of actually turning that off. I recently spent 2 weeks in Bali, and I can say confidently, okay, I've learnt how to turn that little switch off. So this is like close the door, go away. Go away, active brain, because you're really clever and can think of stuff, but actually I'm not gonna talk to you right now. Um, and that's a new, skill that I have mastered just quite recently.
Yeah, and look, there's apart from sleeping, there's a solid, you know, 16 hours in a day. And during those 2 weeks, if you after I'm just gonna go there, a little bit of like a good morning routine during those 2 weeks off, did an hour of like focused work, you can still deeply refuel. Like, there's options for all levels of people on the spectrum of I have to work to I actually need to stop working. So make no mistake that there is a really positive way for you to function and set yourself up for success by nailing those 2 weeks from Christmas Day onwards.
I think I'm gonna book myself into the, 424 intensive, Joel. I think I might come along.
Yeah, you should.
Hang on, I think I'm gonna be there anyway, but, it'd be great. I need
That's
to learn
good.
some skills.
And just full transparency, behind the curtain of Salon Owners Collective, we run the 424 with our staff as well, or rather, we will be running the 424 with our staff as well, because it's not a framework that we sell. It's a framework that you should definitely use because it is bloody effective. Bloody effective.
Looking forward to that. We're spending a couple of days up on the coast. So, all right. Well, let's turn our attention to January, because we want to be a little bit intentional with January. Because the last thing we want to do is, by the time we wind things up and it's March already and we haven't really kicked off the year. So, let's talk about refocusing and being a little bit intentional about that coming back into January after we've refueled.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think one of the big mistakes a lot of us make is we have a average or okay December. We have a very hungover, sweet 2 weeks. We're just kind of on the back foot, but we justify it because we deserve it because it's been a big year. And we roll into January. That's not a metaphor. We roll into January, and it's like back foot would be an understatement, just like not at our best. And you know that some of your staff are going to be coming back after maybe they've been to some events or they've had a big New Year's, and they're not going to be at their best either. So you've got to kind of make a decision. Do you want to show up in January at your best as a leader that's saying, these are the focuses and this is the way for us to go? Or do you want to kind of be on the back foot, as you said, risk until like March before you really get your A into G? We want staff satisfaction and we want staff productivity 12 months of the year. Absolutely. And so, with that being said, I think, December's busy. We've just talked about the 2 weeks from Christmas Day onwards. We don't want to overcook the planning and preparation for January, but we certainly, in those moments of thinking about work, whether it's late December or very early January, we want to kind of know what our focuses are for those first 4 weeks of January. Yeah. So, what's happening in that first week back? And what's happening? What are we focusing on that could be useful for the team, that could be useful for the clients, that could be useful for maybe some white space so that we're not showing up and going, oh shit, but rather we're like, I knew this was going to happen, and I'm glad I put some thought into it in November 2024.
Yeah, I think that's the key is, like, start thinking about it now so it's not a surprise, and then you have to start dreaming it up. Get what you're saying is get each week planned out so you know exactly what is happening and where your focus needs to be.
Absolutely. I mean, SOC in terms of how we deliver the final four, like a lot of our owners will walk away with a one pager. It's got the first 4 weeks of January and just a few notes under a title. Like it's that simple, but there's a lot of meaning, clarity, and you sort of talked about it before, Larissa, like being able to say no and just focus on one thing. So we know what those four pillars are for January. And I think more than anything else, it partly gives you permission in December to go full out, gives you permission in late December to relax and refuel because coming into January, you're really clear about where you're going to focus your attention over those 4 weeks in January.
Yeah, okay. And having the end in mind, having the focus of, kicking off the whole of the year, like January is the year to get those things in place, get those things set up, so you can actually have a record year. So, all right, let's recap. The 4 weeks of December, we're gonna give ourselves permission to focus, keep narrow on serving our clients. In January, we're gonna give ourselves full permission to completely refuel and be unplugged with purpose, I
From
guess.
December the 25th onwards, that's when that
Correct.
2-week period starts, and it actually goes over the new year into the first week of January, right? Like that first week. So when I say the final 4 is the first 4 weeks of January, it's actually functionally, it's the 2nd week onwards, those 4 weeks. So you go 4 weeks,
Yes,
2 weeks, 4 weeks.
4 weeks back into work. And being really clear and intentional of what the focus is going to be for January, but actually that you're starting to think about the focus for the whole year. Okay, great. Well, I'm looking forward to our intensive. Definitely going to be paying attention, Joel, myself, on the refuel part. And I know we're going to do this together as a team when we get away for a couple of days in the Kapiti Coast. So I'm really looking forward to that. If you need some help with getting your 2025 in alignment, learning the skills on how to refuel and uncomplicating the Christmas cray-cray, and you want some help with that, then my invitation to you is come and jump on a call with me. Let's have a conversation. Tell me about what's happening in your business. Let's see if Salon Mastery is the right place for you. And let's make 2025 your most best epic year ever. Joel, thanks for hanging out with me on the podcast yet again.
So good to be here, Russ. Thank you so much, and appreciate the opportunity to talk about something that's actually so important and that owners around the world really need to put front and center as they go into, as you say, the December cray-cray.